Welcome back, everybody. The History Guy here. This is episode 2, playing as Russia on Millennium Dawn, which is a modern-day mod for Hearts of Iron 4. I am rebuilding the Soviet Empire. The first step in episode 1 was to retake Chechnya and also to turn my leadership over to the Communist Party. So I'm now a communist nation once again. The next step is to start gobbling up these former Soviet republics, especially Kazakhstan, and all of its wonderful resources that I really would like to have very much. Before I get into this episode, a quick shout out to my latest patron, Christopher Graham. So glad to have you on board. So grateful for your support and the support of everyone, present or past, who has been a supporter of this channel through Patreon. Being a small channel with only a couple thousand subscribers, getting maybe 1,500 views a day, I'm not making a lot of money on this, especially through the ad revenue. So those who support this channel through Patreon are what justifies this to my family so that I can continue to make these videos. So I thank you very much. And if you want to know more about how to be a supporter, just look at the link below and check that out. I'm always looking for new ideas as far as the rewards that I can offer at different levels. So if you have a suggestion, I certainly welcome that. You can comment below on the comment section of this video, or shoot me a message. The email and everything is below as well. You can also do that through Facebook. So with that said, let's dive back in. And it's December of 2000. We're about to enter the new year, and we're just working on the Red Menace, which is the first step here toward working toward restoring the USSR. So once we complete this one, it's going to boost the popularity of the Communist Party. It's going to give me a little bit of much needed stability, which you can see right now is only at 47%, and it affects kind of everything. Next step will be Red Union State, which is going to be to offer Belarus the opportunity to join. Sweden is definitely being threatened by the things that I'm doing. And as you can see, they just left my faction, which I didn't even know they were in. So the biggest problem here right now, of course, is just that. So it looks like Norway is part of NATO. Sweden is not. Sweden's kind of just out there on their own right now. But I mentioned in the last episode about the interesting part of certain nations not being a part of NATO, such as the United States, Germany. So I guess that's a good thing for me. But we'll just continue to watch things. We're about to start the new year. It's going to hit 2001 right about now. And, of course, we know what happens in 2001. That's September 11th, which is going to kind of upend a lot of things in the world. Looking at research, we're a long ways off from any upcoming research. So not a lot happening at the moment. Okay, so I mentioned in the first episode that I wanted to be able to get my divisions down to a combat width of 20. Long story short, it just helps with combat. I've made a couple changes here to my tank divisions. I've added some motorized infantry and taken away one of the tank brigades, and that gets me right to that magic number of 20, which is where I want to be. It also makes it a little easier to get the tank divisions in the field because I don't need quite as much equipment to do that. I'm going to do the same with my infantry divisions just as soon as I get enough army experience to do so. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and add these divisions to one of my armies so that they'll get working on their own experience. Looks like I've got a huge navy right there of one ship. Alright, so we're into February of 2001. We're very close to finishing Red Menace, then we're going to pick Red Union State. So we're in the middle of February 2001. I was thinking about this, and you know, the only thing that I'm trading for right now is rubber. And there's not really any great place for me to get that without invading Southeast Asia. So I'm thinking I'm going to queue up a couple of rubber factories. And I want to do those in places where I've got really good infrastructure, which is especially down here near Georgia. So these rubber factories are each going to give me 10 rubber, which if you look at my trade, I'm trading for 16 right now, and I need 14 for my production. So that'll solve my production issue where rubber is concerned. And the only other thing I really need a lot of is chromium. Everything else I've got quite a bit of already. And chromium I can get by taking over Kazakhstan when the time comes. So that's going to solve some of those issues. Let's take a look. We're about to hit Red Menace, so we'll stick around long enough for that to happen and go ahead and choose Red Union State. Not a lot's going to happen here, except it's going to help the popularity of my Communist Party. and it's going to give me that little boost to stability that I kind of need. Alright, so the Ethiopian government has decided to overturn its constitution, and it's becoming communist, so that's interesting. Could be a potential ally in Africa there. We're going to offer Belarus the union state through this next national focus. Let's take a look down here at Ethiopia for just a minute and see if we can do anything to maybe invite them to something. No, I guess not. They are communist, though. We need world tension at 25% to be able to invite them to faction, and there's no world tension right now. So we finished up improved artillery, which means we can upgrade our towed artillery to improved artillery. We'll start producing that. It also means that we've got a research slot available. We're into 2001, so a lot of the stuff I want to do just not quite available yet without a big hit to the research ability. So we're going to focus on some little things here in the year 2000 that'll just help a little bit here and there. Not sure what yet. Not land doctrine, not sea doctrine. We've got self-propelled artillery. Maybe we upgrade our anti-air a little bit, I guess. The next thing I'm thinking about here is, I just wanted to point this out. My first nuclear reactor is complete, which means I'm starting to produce nuclear weapons. Basically, one nuclear reactor equals one nuclear weapon a year. I've got 2 more queued up, but they're kind of far down the line right now. Let's take a look at the mobilization and see if we can go. We're at early mobilization. We can go to partial, so let's go ahead and do that. So once again, that's going to start improving my economy a little more and help with my production all the way along the line. See, I need a ton of motorized units right now, a ton of mechanized. I just don't have the military factories to produce everything. So just looking at construction real quick, I'm about to finish both of these rubber factories. I've also got a civilian factory about to be completed. Once those 3 things are completed, I'll be working on all 3 of these military factories. I'm going to move up my nukes to here, and then we'll just kind of go from there after that. All right, April 2001, completing some of those military factories. Got my rubber factories completed as well. So those things are all helping my economy, which is really my focus right now, is to build up my economy so that I'm in a position to be able to carry on major wars against some of these other powers that I may find myself in conflict with. So we're going to do little things here, keep the military upgraded. We want to continue to keep a land doctrine tree going, which I think this one's about to be done, but maybe not. Let's look at armor for a second. We're all the way up to where we need to be on armor upgrades. We're also up to date on those things. So right now it's just really infantry that needs updated here and there. Ceramic body armor, we'll go do that. Let's take a look where we're at. We're about 2 weeks away from Red Union State, which is going to be the first big test of my expansion of the Soviet Union. We're looking at Belarus, which is, I guess, one of these small ones. Yeah, it's right here. So that's going to give me a border with Poland and start putting pressure on places like Ukraine, Lithuania, Latvia. I'm also desperately trying to reconnect with this little area of my country here, which is where most of my navy is. All right, we're about to have Red Union State. Let's see what happens with this. See if it works, if Belarus decides to join the Soviet Union. I guess it wouldn't be quite the Soviet Union yet, but it'd be darn close. Oh, Belarus resists us. Belarus has the audacity to resist Russian wishes for a union state. We have to prepare an answer. All right, so what's our answer going to be? War? I mean, I guess that's what it comes to, right? So we're going to go ahead and take the next step, restore the USSR. It's going to give me a ton of annex war goals, which obviously I can't undertake all at once. But I'm going to annex South Ossetia, Abkhazia, and the Transnistrian Republic right off the bat. So world tension is going to go up by 20% when that happens. So let's take a look at Belarus real quick here. We're obviously not prepared for war right this second. I guess I don't have a war goal yet. Maybe it'll give me a decision where that's concerned. So let's hold off on that for just a second. While I'm at it, Army experience is at 16. That should be enough to do what I need to do to get my infantry divisions where I want them. They're at combat width of 20 right now. I want to reduce that. So we're gonna remove this infantry right here. Let's see if we can what else do we need to remove? Each one of these infantry units is a combat width of 2, so that kind of makes it difficult. Okay, that actually gets it down to 1. So how about we add motorized artillery? What's that get? Gets me to 22. So then I can remove one more infantry. That gets the magic number of 20. Perfect. Now, with that said, we're going to stop all military exercises. There's no further need for that right now. Let's go out to the Far East and do the same thing with these guys. Now we start focusing on building up our military for our first invasion, which is going to be Belarus. So first things first, let's get the Russian Theater Army into position. I probably have military access to them. So no, I don't. Okay, perfect. So we'll get that ready, and then I guess I'll count on there being some sort of decision that it's going to give me that will allow me to prepare for war without having to justify a war goal, but it may not, so we'll see. It should be a relatively easy conquest to take Belarus when the time comes. All right, we're into just about to be June of 2001, and I have started to justify a war against Belarus. It wasn't happening on its own. It's going to take the better part of a year. It was 320 days to complete that justification, so it looks like it's going to raise world tension by basically nothing, but world tension is going to go up by 20% with my next national focus, so that's where a lot of it's going to come from. Got a couple of upgrades to make here. We're just about where we want to be on infantry, or on artillery. I'm going to do self-propelled artillery there. Armored, we're on land doctrine. 258 days for land doctrine. And right now, we've got 500,000 troops available, so a small war against Belarus shouldn't affect that too much. I shouldn't lose too many men. We are waiting. Restore the USSR is a long national focus. It's also going to take better part of a year. So right about the time I invade Belarus is when I'm going to get those justification war goals against all those other countries. So hopefully we'll take Belarus fairly quickly. We'll continue to build up the army. In the meantime, I got to look at my Air Force too and just see where that stands so that I've got some kind of an Air Force available to me. All right, so we're July of 2001. This is kind of a cosmetic thing, really, but I got to do it just because I'm pushing for it to become the Soviet Union. So part of that has to be renaming the cities of the revolution. So St. Petersburg is once again going to be Leningrad, and Volgograd goes back to Stalingrad. Got to happen. There we go. So that cost me 75 points, but well worth every penny. Let's upgrade our self-propelled artillery one more time. And let's take a look at where things stand, when this is going to happen. It's going to be April of 2002. So by that point, the U.S. is going to be at war in Afghanistan. So that's obviously going to raise world tension a little bit down here with that going on, and with September 11th and everything that comes with it. All right, we're almost to September 11th. It's August 30th of 2001. We've got 3 slots that have opened up for research, and I'm just about caught up on my research for my military weapons now. There's a few things I can do. Relatively minor impact with most of them. I might look at air doctrine a little more. I do have a huge Air Force. I've gone ahead and attached most of them to the other units, but I'll kind of show you some of that in here in just a minute. I've attached most of them to my armies, so there's a ton of air power here. You can see a lot of them are in small units, so I probably could kind of combine some of these, but for now we'll just leave it as it is. There's a bunch out here in the west or in the east as well. So we're counting down to September 11th. It's coming here in just a couple of weeks. All right, so here we go. September 11th attacks. We know there's going to be a lot that's going to follow up with that. There's going to be kind of a domino effect with things that happen around the world. Democrats rally behind the Republicans. Yeah, that was a great time of unity. And for those of you, my friends, my followers out in the UK, for me, as an American, and I know that it wasn't just Americans who died that day. There were a lot of people from a lot of countries. So when I say as an American, I'm not belittling the folks who lost their lives from lots of other places. But as an American, since it kind of happened on our soil, one of the things that I most remember from the days afterwards that just really touched me was the scene I believe it was in front of Buckingham Palace in London, when they were doing the changing of the guard, and the band played the Star Spangled Banner, the American National Anthem, and I just thought that was one of the coolest moments, and it just really meant a lot to me, and I know it did to a lot of my fellow Americans as well, and there was a lot of that afterward, and I miss that. I miss the unity that we saw in the days after that, and that happens a lot. Out of this horrible tragedy comes unity, comes people being there for one another, acts of heroism beyond anything you could imagine. And it's unfortunate that it takes tragedies like that to bring those things on. So there's a lot of things that happen afterwards. Not all good things. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of bad. I'm surprised world tension hasn't gone up at all, but I guess it probably will. Yeah, there's the anthrax attack. So there's a lot happening here. I'm also going to be getting my first nuclear weapon fairly soon. But we're waiting until April to get to that first domino to fall where we can attack Belarus. All right, I want to show this real quick because the British government has defied the people. They are leaving the European Union. Austria already left the UK, or the European Union, so that's been happening. So we have Brexit in 2001. Interesting time for that to happen. All right, as 2001 winds down, I've got 186 political PowerPoints, so I want to spend some of those. Let me pause real quick because I got to do something with my new military factories. I wanted something that would help with my stability, but I couldn't find anything really good for that. The best I can come up with is right here. This gives me a 5% boost to stability, also a 5% boost to political power gain, and a 30% improvement in relations opinion. So I'm going to go with the experienced attorney, put him in as one of my political advisors. So that's going to get me up to 56% stability, which now gives me a plus effect from my stability, which is desperately needed right now. I'm continuing to crank out military factories because I've got such a need for all of these different sorts of military productions. And so we'll put these into motorized right here for now. And you can see my manpower continues to tick up, so I'm in good shape there. What I need right now mostly is to be able to max out all of my existing units in the field before I get a bunch of new ones. You can see a lot of these units are far from full strength, 61%, 69%. Right here is 32%. So I need to start strengthening my existing units before I go pumping a bunch of new units into the field. I still only have 83 divisions, so I've got a long way to go there. All right, we're in February 2002. We're getting super close to things happening. Quickly, things will be happening. We finished up air doctrine as well as a land doctrine, I believe, so let's take a look at that. I want to continue working on those things. Mobile infantry versus blitzkrieg. I think we're going to go with blitzkrieg. I've also shifted one of my armies because I don't think I need 3 full armies to take Belarus. So I shifted one of those to the Far East Theater, even though it's really not Far East, and I've started to line that army group on the border with Kazakhstan, which is going to be my first invasion under the national focus that allows me annex war goals on all of the former Soviet states. So that's where I'm going to start with, is going to be Belarus and Kazakhstan at the same time. I feel like Kazakhstan may give me a little bit of trouble just because it's so big. So I'll take Belarus quickly and then hopefully be able to shift those armies over to Kazakhstan and be able to take them out. So barring some major world event, the next time you see me here in a second is going to be when we prepare for those invasions. All right, so here we go. Real quick, going to knock out this research slot and find something for it. So let's go ahead and go with encryption. And it's about time for the invasion of Belarus. So here we go. Hopefully nobody gives me a hard time about this. He doesn't have anybody kind of there to help him out. So here we go. We are invading Belarus, and we're really, really close. We've only got 2 weeks left on all of the other justifications that are going to be happening. So here we go. This should happen pretty quick, I would think. All right. I don't know why. I attached all of these things, but a lot of them don't have missions, so maybe they can't be attached. I don't know. All right, here we go. What are we waiting on, folks? Let's get in there. Not entirely sure why we're not invading yet, but that was kind of anticlimactic. Oh, that would be why. Yeah, see, we gave the orders to the wrong army. All right, now we're in business. Hey, hello, Belarus. Here we come. This should take, what, a week? A lot of armored divisions there. We're going to hit them really fast. We're going to conquer Belarus in plenty of time to be able to shift at least one of those armies over to help with the invasion of Kazakhstan. Why are my planes not getting air superiority? It doesn't matter. All right, so maybe longer than a week. We're at a week right now in the invasion. We're about to take Minsk. Let's look at the casualties. 376. Oh, almost 1,000 now. We've taken out 20,000 on his side, though. And right about the time that we're done with the invasion of Belarus, that national focus is going to complete. Whoa! What is happening here? A lot just happened, so let me pause for just a second. Somalia declares jihad. Iran declares jihad. So we got a holy war happening with the Muslim nations. We got to choose our next national focus. I'm thinking diplomacy is the way to go. We can't do this completely on our own. We've suddenly got some unassigned divisions. Why is that? Did Georgia join me? Is that what happened here? We got to see what's going on. Oh, South Ossetia. So some of these little territories that we automatically annex have happened. So we've got a bunch of available war goals. Let's go ahead and assign these last few divisions. Looks like I gained more divisions than I expected to here. That's cool. I'm happy with that. Alright, so I'll finish that up. There we go. And we'll get back to the invasion of Belarus, which is just about complete. I think once we take Minsk, we'll pretty much be there. Which is about to happen right now. Alright, moving on. So we're also grabbing some military factories. And there it is! So Belarus has been conquered. We're going to take all states. Going to end turn. And that's that. So the growth of the Soviet Union really begins in earnest now. Next comes this big chunk right here, Kazakhstan. And then we have to, I think, focus on making some friends. I don't want to do this on my own, especially with folks like China and the United States out there. I know the United States probably not going to get them on my side, but China being a fellow communist nation, maybe I can get them on my side. So first things first, we're going to shift one of these armies over to the Far East so they can help with the invasion of Kazakhstan, which is going to start here in just a minute. I feel like I've probably got enough to get this done, but maybe not. I've got to reissue the orders, I think, for this army, though. This army group. And everything kind of happens a little slowly right now. So let's kind of give the marching orders, so to speak. I don't know why it's not issuing orders for this group here. All right. We're not quite in place, but I think we're in a position enough to be able to do this. So let's go ahead and declare on Kazakhstan. And at that point, we're up to 24% world tension, so we've got to be careful not to tick the world off too much. All right, let's do this. It's going to be kind of slow going at first because I didn't have my armies quite into position, but I wanted to keep the action moving, and soon enough the armies will be in position to be able to really keep things going well here. In the meantime, Russian theater, let's go ahead and solidify what's happening here. We'll get them on the border with Ukraine, just to kind of let them know that we mean business. I don't know why this particular army is not doing anything. I feel like I just need to kind of reissue all the orders all the way along. Sometimes that happens. Ah, that's not what I want. Here we go. There, now everybody's got their orders. Perfect. All right, so we're going to finish up Kazakhstan, and I think that's where we'll wrap up this episode. Just a couple things. We've got 3 nuclear reactors now, so I'm producing 3 nukes per year at this point. Working on infrastructure. We'll have some repairs to do and some mopping up to do, but I think we'll take Kazakhstan fairly quickly, and that'll be a good place to wrap this up. I promised that I would try to keep these episodes to 20 to 25 minutes. I think I'm probably right around there right now. I want them to be interesting, so I want the action to keep moving, but I also want them to be short enough that people can kind of digest them easily. Once again, the casualty figures are great for me. 41,000 inflicted on Kazakhstan to only 466 losses. I'm fighting pretty weak nations with very subpar militaries, so that shouldn't be a surprise that that's happening. I think once we take their capital here in Astana, that'll pretty much spell the end of things for Kazakhstan. We're about halfway there already. Yeah, my fielded manpower 665,000 to his 40,000. In the meantime, we're working on diplomacy focus, and then we're going to have a choice to make. I think we're going to go path of the dragon because we want to try and get China on our side. That's going to be a big deal, and that's going to make things a lot easier for me if I don't have to deal with China and their billion-man army. Well, they don't have a billion in their army, but they've got a billion people. Dutch Union leaves the European Union. EU's falling apart at this point. There's not much left to it. We've split Kazakhstan in 2. We're gathering up all those much desired chromium resources. World Cup. All right, so now you can see we're gathering up lots of chromium. So other than rubber, I am in really good shape resource-wise. Look at all of those resources. I don't need to trade for nothing from nobody, and I love that. The main thing I need to do now is start really focusing on getting military factories out there. All right, Kazakhstan is done. So I think we're just waiting on... There it is. All right, so let's pause right there. It's June of 2002. That's a great place to stop. World tensions at 27%, mostly because the USSR reborn. Obviously... all that comes with that happening. You can understand how that would vastly raise world tension. I've got to reset my armies. I'm thinking Ukraine's the next place I go, but I'm also thinking that's going to ruffle some feathers. But maybe not. I don't know. We're going to have to cancel our military access there. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Where do you think I go next? I don't need resources at this point, so really, I guess it's about factories next. So we go for the nations that are going to help my production the most, and we also start thinking about friends that need to be made and thinking about taking on some major world powers once I can get my military in a better position, because right now 95 divisions just isn't going to cut it. So we'll see what happens. I would love to know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. Hit that thumbs up if you want to see more. Once again, thank you to Chris and to all of my patrons on Patreon. I'll be giving out some more shout-outs here in the coming videos, but I appreciate you all very much. Even those of you who aren't able to support on Patreon, just by watching these videos, you're really supporting this channel, so I appreciate that. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.